So did you opt out of the internet? In the mid to late 90s, I was a technology consultant that was assigned to go and work with businesses to help them understand how the impending new technology was going to change business strategy. So I would go into organizations, mid to late 90s, and talk to them about how they really needed to pay attention to this thing that we didn't even have a word for that was going to change everything. And some clients jumped right on board. Right? The first one that was really strong was an international investment bank. They were based in Los Angeles. They had 9 locations around the world. They moved all their back-end operations onto the internet before we even knew what to call it in the late 90s. Most of the conversations that I had went like this. Lisa, I don't think the internet will ever be used for anything except for porn distribution. So no, I'm not going to see it as a business imperative. And we're going to wait and see what happens. And if it does, in fact, turn out to be something more than porn distribution, then come back and talk to me. And I would go through these conversations over and over and over again. And actually, a stat just came out, crazily enough, last week. It says that 30% of the content that moves through the internet is still porn distribution. So I thought that was quite funny. Those conversations were really incredibly painful because I had a mandate to help companies use this new technology to get ahead of this impending wave, this train that was coming, to help them run towards the train instead of standing and waiting to see what happens when the train hits. The conversations in 2003 with the organizations that didn't move quickly enough to adopt the technology were equally painful. So revolutions have an arc. They have a time frame. There's a period of time when you're too early, and there's a period of time when you're too late. And I think the topic of the conversation that we're having today, and especially at the 25th anniversary, is so timely because the time for us to talk about changes in career and talent as we talk about the revolution is right now. We've been through many different types of revolutions in business over the last century. We've seen how technology can completely affect our ability to have data, and how data can then transform the way that we take a look at how we operate, how we finance, how we move goods from one place to another, how we look at our customers and segment, how we market, and how we use different types of information in order to get more and more specific. This data comes from a Burson report that was published in 2013. It's their HR update that came out in the spring of 2013. And if I mention any references that you want at any point in time, just make a note of them and send me either an email or we'll get in touch. I'm around all day. I'm happy to share. But the Conference Board of Canada has just declared that this is the talent decade. And they've done it for similar reasons as what's been put into this report. We now have the ability, the data, the focus, and the imperative to realize that who is doing our work is the next wave of how businesses are going to transform and compete. Now that we've figured out what it is that we do, how we move our goods, how we market our goods, how we use the technology.